Welcome back, everybody, to the Wake and Blake show on the Green Ninja channel. I am Blake, and we're going to talk about something that is really sad, and is sad for a number of reasons. Um, as I'm sure if you've seen the channel by now, I write metal music. I write all kinds of music, but I definitely prefer the aggression and sound style of metal. Um, it is something that is very near and dear to my heart. It is something I grew up with. I grew up as a drummer first when I was young. I then started to dabble in bass guitar, really liked stringed instruments, and then moved to guitar when I was 18. Um, it's been a large part of my life, a large part of my inspiration, a large part of my thought process, a large part of how I cope with life in general. You know, when I'm feeling angry and upset, I don't lash out physically at things. I will put on some music and scream some lyrics, and it allows me to release angst and frustration and anger in a more constructive way than bitching and complaining and hitting things. I know that there are people that are that have some massive anger issues and they, hit walls or whatever. I was always a metal fan and relied on that music to kind of take me to a better place. Which is ironic for some people who think that they're all Satan worshiping crazy dickheads. So, this brings me to Confess, and they're an Iranian band, and their music is good. It's pretty. I don't know. I don't know how I would describe it. It has some of that the Iron Maiden feel to it, with more aggressive vocals, I would say, and so two of the members have been held in solitary confinement until February 5th of this year. And I believe that they were jailed in November of last year. Yeah, since November of last year on grounds of blasphemy and running an illegal band and record label. Okay. Two of the members have been held in solitary confinement until November 5th, so they've been in solitary confinement since sometime in November, when they were released on bail. According to another news site, the men face between 6 months and 6 years in prison, but if they are found guilty of blasphemy, they can be executed. They can be executed for blasphemy. Okay? I want that to fucking sink in for a minute. Because music is entertainment. It is not a belief system. It is not something to worship. It is not blasphemous to say how you feel. It is not blasphemous to write a book. It's not blasphemous to make a movie. It's not blasphemous to paint a picture. I don't care what the fucking picture is of. You cannot like the content on the picture. You cannot like the content of the lyrics. You cannot like the content of the music. You cannot like the name. You can nitpick and be prejudiced in whatever way you want. But it is not blasphemous to create the art. But you have full control over whether or not you like it. And I think that that is a human right, and I don't think that that can be taken away. And, well, okay, I'll rephrase that. It can be taken away. I just don't think that we as humans can regress so far that we take other people's rights away, because I just don't like rap and metal music. And so apparently rock, metal, and rap, and some pop music, because we all know those damn Satan worshipping pop music people, is reportedly banned in Iran, and some have been labeled Satanists as a result of their musical preferences. And the BBC did an article on this, titled Iran's Underground Music Scene is Exposed for Freedom 2014. And any of you who know anything about some of the subsects of Muslim religions, women are not allowed to do a whole lot. And for a woman to be in a metal band is a huge deal and very, very controversial over there. We don't think anything of it. There are bands like Straight Line Stitch. There are bands like The Agonist. There are an Arch Enemy, and well, there's a bunch of them now, and so the emergence of women in metal has become regular for us over here in the United States and Canada, and God, all the power metal in Europe, and with Nightwish and Camelot and Epica and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, they're all over the world. This is nothing new to metal, but it is something apparently so new and blasphemous to religion. This particular religion that is encompassing the government of this country. So it's controversial and they hate it. The full charges levied against the band reportedly include blasphemy, advertising against the system, forming and running an illegal band and record label in the satanic metal and rock music style, writing anti-religious, atheist, political, and anarchist lyrics, and conducting interviews with forbidden foreign radio stations. The source claimed to have written Mr. McKendry because the CEO had previously been in contact with the band in the hopes that you guys help us to telling the world that the life conditions of us is very terrible and spread the news. So they're not expecting a miracle here. All they're expecting and wanting, I suppose, that would be a more correct word. All they want is for us to spread the word. So as a musician, as a fan, as a believer in freedom of speech, as a believer in the freedom to create what you feel regardless of how people feel about it, I believe that these people should be allowed to feel how they want, to say what they want, and create the art that they want. And I'll add to that by saying, just because somebody says something or creates something doesn't mean that you have to like it. It doesn't mean a market has to accept it. It doesn't mean that it will do anything except for exist. and I say that because there are huge hot topics right now from the always offended PC crowd. And if you talk about racism in a song, you better be against it, or else you're going to have hell rain down upon you. Excuse me. And even I think that there are topics that are firmly in belief to be off the table, and there's nothing. I do not believe in the right to censor somebody for saying something stupid or what I believe is stupid. If I don't like it, then the repercussions of them being stupid is not being successful. That's just how it works. If you give something attention and you blow it out of proportion and you say, these guys made a racist song and there's 2 million people that check out this really racist song and they comment like crazy, and that guy monetized his YouTube video, do you understand how much fucking money you just gave that guy? Really? Do you understand? If this guy creates a song and puts it up on YouTube, and he monetizes a video, and people hate it so much they view it 2 million times. They just paid that guy. You just gave him money because you were infatuated by something you hate. Okay? And I want that to sit in for a second, because I know that some of you have done this. And I've definitely checked out songs and people were like, wow, this is really terrible. Maybe not on that kind of level, but and the content is interchangeable. It doesn't have to be about one particular subject. It can be offensive on any level. I'm sure that there are people who are going, well, it could be about abortion. It could be about religious extremism. It could be about, a number of things. Somebody will get offended by what you say, and especially if something is so widely offensive as that. Um, it certainly doesn't make sense to polarize something or to make something into something bigger than it should be when all it needs to have is to be ignored. So, as I digress from that rant, I am a firm believer in Confess to be able to write and play the music they want. And if their lyrics are anti-religious and anarchist and against the political views of the system they have there, that is within their human rights, I believe. Iran doesn't see it that way. So, and that's really, really unfortunate. It's unfortunate for musicians. It's unfortunate for art. It's unfortunate for freedom of speech. And I struggle to think of a world that, especially a world that is crying for freedom of speech so hard in so many ways, to overlook the potential shockwave that this can send through whatever music scene they do have in Iran. And not only in Iran, but they will be examples of what is acceptable to do against musical acts in your country if you have the law structure to do so. Execution for blasphemy. Like, I sit here and I think about this, and I've definitely thought some, lyrics up that, would probably piss off a few politicians. They would probably piss off a lot of members of the religious community. And I don't know if I would necessarily say I identify with being an anarchist, but I definitely have some very nihilistic and anarchist views. Um, for those of you that don't know what a nihilist is, um, it's actually really interesting, but not something I really truly fully identify with. Um, but it's the basis of reality not being real and time not really existing. The idea of time is explainable and interchangeable depending on where you are in the universe. Um, which I don't even want to get into that personally. Um, so I'm going to post a couple of different articles in the description so you have full access to these two articles that I've been reading. Metal Injection posted an article. I think Metal Sucks did too. Blabbermouth, I'm sure, was all over that. Do your best to try and at least share some of these stories because freedom of speech is really important. And whether you like metal or not, freedom of speech and freedom of expression is incredibly important. And without the freedom to say or express ourselves in a way that we desire to express ourselves, this channel wouldn't exist. All of the channels on YouTube that you watch wouldn't exist if there was not freedom of expression. And there are channels all across YouTube right now in different aspects for different reasons are fighting for their right of freedom of speech. And some people are really heavily battling fair use right now against the movie industry. And so freedom of speech it's not on cruise control. It's not like we just got freedom of speech and then hit cruise control and never had to worry about what we say ever again. Freedom of speech is something we have to continually fight for. It's something that we have to insist, no matter who is in power, that we as humans have the right to say it. Whether it's going to be well received or not is not important to the conversation of can I say it? That's all. And I think that people get really caught up in what offends them And they go, well, I don't want you to say that. Well, I am sure you don't. But deeper in that issue, aside from your feelings, that person has the right to say it. Period. And I hope in the future, not so distant from now, people can go, you have the right to be dumb. And that's a subjective thing to say, because we won't all agree on the fact that something is inherently bad. There are things like, and that's another completely subjective conversation over good versus bad. Um, and, and, and that's a can of worms I don't want to open on this video. But understanding subjective is subjective. Your feelings on what something is said is subjective. The objective right to say what you feel is what we're focusing on here. And I'm sorry I'm repeating myself, but I'm very passionate about um, freedom of speech in general. I have. It's been a long, rocky road for freedom of speech here in the United States. It's been a long, rocky road for it everywhere in the world since we've started recording history. It will never end. The fight to keep saying what we believe will never end. And if we let it start slipping and we start letting holes start filling the boat with water, it'll fucking sink. So we really have to rein this in, share this story, share other stories of the atrocities that are going on in freedom of speech. And I'm not saying to go out and go offend people or anything, but just fight for the right to be able to say it, right or wrong. Freedom of speech is important. Sorry, this is not like the most exciting, like, happy episode of Wake and Blake, but I've been sitting on this for a few days and I've been trying to put it together in my head exactly what I wanted to say. And I'm more just really sad as a human being, as somebody who has the right to say what I feel. I feel sad, and I just hope in my heart that they can not be executed or even jailed for playing, writing and recording metal music and existing in an industry that is bigger than Iran. I mean, I hope that optimistically speaking, I hope that when they leave the prison and they're done with this, that they just leave the country. I hope that some record label just picks them up and gets them out of the country. I am, like, I wish I just had the money to help them all escape and put them in a place where they can just be musicians and make music and share their stories and share and express themselves in a way that um, can let them be unfiltered, because these are stories that I don't think we've ever heard before. These are um, positions that aren't mass produced over the media. These are perspectives from people who are living in a country we know very little about, and in a political structure that we think we know things about, but as any decently thinking human being can discern, our major media does not paint an accurate picture of what Iran is like. I don't think that they've been accurate in anything, and so it's hard to believe that it's hard to know what to believe. And so the only people we can believe are the people that are living there, and the people that are living there have created music and are projecting their opinions and expressing themselves, and then they're being silenced for it and possibly executed for it. Just blows my mind. And I hope that we can. I don't even know what sharing this will do, but I'm sharing it and giving my opinion on it. And I hope that their future is bright. I hope that they are successful as a band. I hope that they're able to once again pick up and do what they love. And I wish them all the best in the future, and all the success in the world. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and be on the lookout for future Grow Room updates. And stay orangey. Always flush responsibly, because if you don't, you suck. I love you. Goodbye.